Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. It's great to be with you all. What a great weekend in Kentucky. Hope you guys were watching Kentucky. I guess I can tie it in because this is the race to 5G, right? So, and long shots do win. Dreams do come true. But I'm not from horse country. I'm from Bowling Green. But Epicenter was from Bowling Green. It's the only time I've ever cheered against a long shot. I was hoping that our local horse would win. But what a great time. So it's great to be here. So I represent the 2nd District of Kentucky. It's Bowling Green, Owensboro. We have Mammoth Cave National Park. We have Abraham Lincoln's birthplace. Illinois tries to claim him. But he started drinking from the sinking spring. That's what he talks about in Hardin County, which is now LaRue County, Kentucky, if you read about him. So I was just there, actually, yesterday. And so we have a great place to be and a great place to be from. But we also have a lot of challenges, as most people in rural. We have growing cities like Bowling Green, one of the fastest growing cities in the South. The new Ford battery plants come into Elizabethtown. The gigaplants are coming. The Japanese gigaplants come into Bowling Green. But in the meantime, we still struggle with access to broadband, and 5G is going to be the answer to that. And what's interesting, I hear about broadband all the time. That's what most county executives, most county officials do. And I tell them I'm working on Spectrum, which it kind of makes people's eyes glaze over. Matter of fact, I was reading about Spectrum on the airplane today, and I almost fell asleep. But it was actually Thunderstruck. Have y'all read that book? It's a book by Eric Larson about Marconi and a murder. So it's actually a thriller, but it's true. But I was reading about Spectrum, and I was telling people, I said, I'm become the Spectrum guy, along with Spectrum Lady with Doris Matsui. It's a bipartisan effort to move forward. She's from Sacramento. I'm from Kentucky, kind of two different places, but we're working together on Spectrum. And I never thought when I was running for Congress that I was going to be the Spectrum guy here in Washington, Spectrum person, I should say, here in Washington, D.C. I never went around my district going, send me to Washington and I'll deliver you Spectrum. But everybody wants it. Everybody needs it. They just don't know that they want it or need it. That's why it's exciting to be here with you guys today, because I know that you guys are doing the technology and the services and the connectivity that we enjoy and everybody wants. And we'll see applications all across our industries. I mean, Spectrum brings autonomous vehicles. It brings everything in the transportation sector, the healthcare sector, all the great innovation. And kind of, I guess, my theme that's developed in Congress, I'm actually the ranking member of the Healthcare Subcommittee of Energy and Commerce. And I got involved with that because of budget issues with Medicaid and trying to help. I used to be a state legislator, understand the issues of that. And I've just been enthralled by innovation. I mean, all the things that's happening. And in healthcare, Spectrum's involved in healthcare as well. In 911 and all the different things and the emergencies moving forward is Spectrum. So we have to ensure, so it gets to the race to 5G, right? We have to ensure that America wins that race. There is just no substitute to America winning that race moving forward. And we're not in it by ourselves. We're not the lone superpower trying to do it. We know we have challenges moving with China, and we want to ensure that we're in the forefront, because winning the race to 5G will provide the benefits to our consumers in our economy. And making more Spectrum available, both licensed and unlicensed, is vital to 5G, and we must win this race. As demand for wireless services continue to grow, we need to promote innovation to ensure that our Spectrum resources are used efficiently, while ensuring that sensitive operations in our country, like those in aviation or those pertinent to our national security, can continue without harmful influence. And it's important making federal Spectrum available for 5G and other wireless service priorities. I've been here since 2008, and it's kind of interesting through the Obama administration and the Trump administration, now the Biden administration, and we have some of those speaking to us today. Everybody says really getting Spectrum out into the marketplace is vital. But we have to make sure defense is taken care of, which we absolutely do. We have to make sure airports are taken care of, which we absolutely do. But it's not like every Spectrum is vital to every government agency. And at some point, we're just going to have to say, all right, it is time to sort it out, to go through the process. It's like cleaning out your closet. Nobody wants to do it. Everybody knows it needs to be done, but nobody wants to go through the process to do it. And we have to figure out a way to reward agencies for moving forward. Specifically, federal agencies just need to be more efficient with their Spectrum. And as you all are aware, the FCC's auction authority expires this September, and our committee is working hard to ensure that the FCC has tools it needs to continue its work to make Spectrum more available. And Representative Matsu and I are also working together to identify future opportunities for non-federal uses of spectrum, including licensed commercial use. And we must always continue to address interagency coordination issues. It has been frustrating, as I was saying just a few seconds ago, to see certain agencies without spectrum engineering expertise publicly involve themselves in technical disputes rather than communicating their concerns to NTIA and FCC. And further, the more spectrum we make available for commercial use, including mid-band spectrum needed for 5G, we have an opportunity to bring more reliable internet to more rural parts of the country, which is a good segue to the digital divide. I've grown in cities like Bowling Green. Bowling Green has gone up about 30,000 people. When I say that, it sounds like if you're from a big metropolitan area, Bowling Green has had 100,000 people in the last census, about 130,000, Warren County in Bowling Green. And it is interesting that it's rural Kentucky, but it's also the edges of Bowling Green. So the developers don't want to develop homes because people don't want to buy homes if they can't get internet. You can't get streaming services if you don't have proper access to internet. So just it all ties together. But most of all, we saw it during the COVID pandemic that children and young people that were learning from home, they couldn't learn from home because they had to go somewhere else. We had McDonald's in some of my communities doing hotspots. And I know that we have over 800 companies, and many of yours, that signed the Keep Americans Connected pledge, which was designed to help Americans stay connected during the pandemic. We have telehealth that is coming out and moving forward, and we've seen people experience that and how much better it has been. And so the pandemic did expose more gaps in broadband access in rural and growing communities. And the money that's come through Congress, but also the money that's gone to the states through the ARPA-H plan, counties and localities are getting, lump sums of money. And most all of them are spending some of it, if not all of it, on broadband. So I tell people in the construction business, I said, I think we're not going to have enough people that know how to build broadband. And that's what we need. We need more people on the line. We need people who can climb the towers, people who can do the work, and people who can lay the wire and move forward. But it's not just going to be wire. It's just wire to the home and the last mile. We have some last miles in Kentucky that are long miles off the main track. And so we're going to have to look at all the above ways to get things moving forward. So we must consider wireless, fixed wireless, and terrestrial fiber wherever it's appropriate. Of course, everybody wants fiber at the fastest speeds. But having fixed wire to the mile and then the over the air to the last mile sometimes may be the right way to go, because it's better to have that than to not have to drive to McDonald's to do your homework. No hit on McDonald's. It's just the kids need to be young people need to be in their homes doing their homework. But we did have, and not just McDonald's, other restaurants and other businesses move forward. And we live so much of our lives online, and this is important about securing the internet. And I worked on the rip and replace and try to protect from communist China and their Huawei and other bad actors. And I was in China in 2007, and I was over there, and to kind of laid it out this way, 1 billion people came out of poverty in China over the last decade or so because of the opening up the economy and growth. And I was kind of shocked because I thought I'd see something a lot different than that. I said, well, there's a lot of growth, a lot of happening. He goes, well, don't kid yourself. They're still under control here. The Communist Party says, well, you can grow. We'll let, I sound like the people, somebody tell me, if you let us grow and have better access to wealth, we're going to let you stay in control of the country. And I always thought, well, technology is going to end that. I mean, people are going to have access to the internet, access to information. The Communist Party is not going to be able to control the information. So eventually this is going to open up to freedom and democracy. And it turned out to be the opposite, that you can track people, you can follow people, you can score people. I mean, I completely missed my diagnosis of what I thought it was going to be liberating. And it is liberating to have access to information. Think of the information. If you want to know who won the Kentucky Derby, you can put it up right now, right? You can find out the name. You don't have to go find a magazine or a newspaper. But it also, people in places like China where dictatorships are, what you're checking, what you're moving. And we all know they do social scores. So we need to make sure that we have access to technology, but privacy is respected. And that's why I led the fight against untrusted vendors like Huawei. And our ongoing supply chain shortages, we need to work through that as well and move forward. But we need to protect our networks from untrusted vendors, but work together. This is a global economy in ways, and vendors that work together, and vendors that we move and can trust. Well, I'll close with this. My Favorite part of the Kentucky Derby, so I have to tie my home state to all this. I don't represent Church of Downs. I wish I did. I'm right up to the edge of it. I go about a mile or two away. But what a day Saturday. My favorite part of the Kentucky Derby when the guy yells out across it's usually a guy, but it is actually in history it has been, when he hollers, down the stretch they come. And if you watch it this year, our Rich Strike was, several horses back, looked like Epicenter was going to win, and he just came out of nowhere and won the race at the end. So the race to 5G. But you don't win the race on the stretch. That's when you show you won the race is on the stretch. You win the race in the horse world from the time, the genetics of it. But if you don't even go back that far, but you can go from the time you're born. I mean, it's work. They work these horses. They train these horses. They love these horses. They take care of these horses. And it's not the finish, not the start line. It's not the backstretch. It's all of it. It's all of it. And for the United States to be the leader, which we absolutely have to be in 5G, it's an all-out effort. You can't just expect somebody else to do the work and you show up and pass them on the front stretch. Because if you don't do the work, and if we don't do the work as a country, we don't move forward, then we won't pass them on the front stretch. And when I was in China in 2007, it wasn't with Congress, it was business. And when I left there, I remember a guy told me, he said that the word for China means Middle Kingdom, and I can't pronounce it, but if you don't say China, whatever they say China is Middle Kingdom, and he said that means we're the center of the universe. That's why we've always felt that way. That's our history, that's our destiny. That's why the Forbidden City is so grand, because that's the capital of the world. God told me that. The Communist Party guy told me that when he was leaving. I remember flying back and just thinking about, wow, they're focused. They're focused on doing the hard work. They're focused to try to take the lead. They don't want to be second. And if we don't do the same thing, then we won't be there. And it just turned out, I was in the state senate, my predecessor decided to retire, and at the last minute, so I had to make a quick decision about running for Congress. And a big part of my wife and I's discussion was our trip to China, which had been I got elected in 2008, just a few months before. And I said, you know what, they really are working to be first. And I don't want to be the generation in any way that turns over to our kids a country that's not first, like our parents did for us. And it's in every aspect. But I will tell you, if we don't lead on 5G, then that will be a big step for getting past on the front stretch. And we're not going to let that happen. We're going to work hard. We're going to work with you. We're going to work across party. I said Doris Matsui, we couldn't be farther apart geographically. We sometimes are different politically. But we're together because, it's that important for this country. We all get along together. People think we all fight each other all the time. We don't. But it's this important for us to work together to make sure the businesses you represent can flourish. Because government's not going to do it. It's the private sector that's going to do it. And you're going to do it if we help you, if we get out of the way in some places, we help you in some places. But the number one is when we go down the stretch to cross the line first. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.